Hello, everyone. My name's Artemis Black, and we're going to take a look at what I think are the good teams for new players to pick up. So let's start off by what I mean new players. New players, your friends are trying to get you into Blood Bowl, right? They play Blood Bowl, or they're about to start playing Blood Bowl in your local gaming club, or they're going to join a league at the local Warhammer store, and you're interested in playing, right? But you got to pick up a team to play. What should that be? What should you shell out your hard-earned shekels on, and what should you expect when you do them? This is the first bit of advice. Uh, no stunties, none. Instead of writing 11, I wrote more exclamation marks because it's so common. You see, it's like people ask what team should I play everywhere. They ask in our discords, they ask in our Twitch chats, they ask in the Blood Bowl subreddit, they ask in the Blood Bowl community Facebook page. But probably the same amount of times people ask, hey, how good are goblins? How good are gnomes? Because they look fun, right? Nobody's gonna say they don't look fun. Just look at them. They're all stupid little things. There's foxes and swans and tree men and tiny things patting their bum and picking their nose. Like they're all kinds of fun. But what they also are is all kinds of terrible. They are absolutely awful at Blood Bowl. Look, if you don't care about losing and you just want to have fun and it doesn't matter to you, buy these. But please, like, I'm certain that so many people have in the back of their mind, oh, I can't be that unbalanced. They can't be that bad. You will lose almost every game. Like, new players are not good at the game. I don't care how, like, good at games you think you are not going to be good at Blood Bowl. And these are the worst teams in Blood Bowl, with the exception of the middle one, which is Snotlings. But they're still horrible stunties. They're complicated to play to make them not as terrible as the other stunty teams. So they're going to be as bad for you. All of these teams will suck. And everyone will see you coming. Like anyone who's played Blood Bowl before, anyone who's bringing some of the better teams, they will see you coming a mile away. And they don't get better. No amount, like 8 games into your league with your friends, these will all still suck. There's absolutely no chance of you doing well with this team. If you think, like, if the only thing that matters to you is how cute they look, how fun they look, like, ignore all of this advice, right? Just pick whatever you fancy, because the most important thing in Blood Bowl is you play something you enjoy. But if you're also looking to have a good time, to maybe win a game, or at least stand a chance at looking like you might win a game, find something you enjoy that doesn't suck. Nothing slow. These are the slow teams in Blood Bowl. They average less than 6 movement, and speed is everything in Blood Bowl. You will find yourselves in all kinds of trouble with these slow teams. Dwarves are bad. Tomb Kings are slow. Black Orcs are slow. And Nurgle, even though they're a very good team, if you're new to Blood Bowl, they don't start that great. They don't have block, and they're very slow. You will just find yourself struggling to score, struggling to keep up with players who can outmaneuver you with faster teams, because obviously you were learning. You won't be able to guess in advance where they're going to go, and you're going to get, like, outpaced. Everything is bad for new players with slow teams. Will you be able to punch things? Yes, all the slow teams are strong, either through skills like the dwarves with block and high armor, or strength, literal strength on the other teams. But you'll still lose. So if you just want to punch things but lose anyway, pick these. But please, otherwise, no slow teams. Nothing complicated. You don't want to learn to play vampires when you're also learning to play Blood Bowl. Like, they're too complicated a team to also learn. Underworld, you need to be able to one turn. Half of the team is stunties. Like they're too complex. And the two at the bottom, you might wonder where they are. That's Renegades and High Elves. Uh, Games Workshop don't sell those. High Elves are not even a complicated team. It's just annoying that you'd have to play with a different team. And then High Elves are about to come out as a completely different version. They're literally on the cusp of having a new edition of High Elves, which will be a completely different team. So they're not a good pick at the moment. Where they'll end up in a future video, I don't know because they're not out yet. But Renegades are also a complicated team. They come with 3 big guys. You have to manage that. Loads of different players, and again, they don't sell them, so you'll be using proxies or your friends' miniatures or something. So best to just give them a skip. Nothing that's just blatantly rubbish. Like, these 3 teams are fine, but they, as a Blood Bowl team, next to the stunties, they're just bad. The Corn team were in like the top 5 bash teams video over certain other person. Like, I don't know what the hell they're thinking. I mean, I do. They're bad at Blood Bowl. But yeah, Corner bad. Frenzy everywhere. Starting with no block. The Linos are armor 8+. Awful. The Burts are bad. 2 of the positionals, the throwers and the catchers, you probably don't even want to take. And you're not going to know that, right, as a new player, so they're bad. And Nobility filled with, like, armor 7 Linos, armor 8+ Linos again, complicated things like wrestle and fend everywhere, and just not being a good team in general. All of these teams won't, none of these teams will serve you well. They're bad at Blood Bowl. So why pick something that's bad? If you like the look of them, pick something you like the look of that's good, learn the game, and then play something bad just for fun, when you can actually mitigate some of their rubbishness by having learned Blood Bowl. Nothing fragile. This is going to be another problem. There's 5 teams in this, and one of them in the Middle Amazons, one of the best teams in Blood Bowl, NAF style, tournament style. But I'm talking to those people who are going to be playing leagues with their friends, pickup games with their friends. So in this, all of these teams are majority armor 8+. That means they're very fragile. And new players are going to eat more blocks than they should. They're going to take more dodges than they should. They're going to make more rushes than they should. There's going to be more and more and more opportunities. They're going to take 1 in 9 blocks that they shouldn't. More and more opportunities to eat an armor roll. And these are all the guys that don't want to eat armor rolls. The problem with these teams, the slow teams will stay on the pitch and lose. These teams will leave the pitch and lose. That's even less fun. You don't even get to punch stuff. All of this stuff just leaves the pitch in droves if you don't know what you're doing with them, which you won't. So, as good as Wood Elves and Amazons, you'll see it recommended as top teams, but that's tournament style where they start with a bunch of skills. Amazons start with no block on their entire team. In tournament style, they get block and wrestle, and now they're Blodgers and Rogers. They'll survive better. The same with Wood Elves, who only have War Dancers that can survive anything. The same with Union, who only have 2 Blitzers who can survive anything. Norse do have a lot of block, but they also have Frenzy. They can't rush, which you'll forget. And they're a bash team that's armor 8+, so they'll mix it up, and the other team will punch them out. Rats have the same problem as the elves. These all look like fun teams to play, and they'll all this is where you get people like just posting pictures of like their dugouts filled with like 8 players. Like, what am I supposed to do? I only had 3 players to set up. Yeah, you picked one of these teams. Like, this team is bad for you. Nothing with a bad start. These teams are actually pretty decent in leagues if you're going to continue to play leagues in the future. But they don't have a good start. The best one's probably the Dark Elves. Lizards have a real bad start. One of the better teams in Blood Bowl overall, both in tournament style and in long league. But in starting league, Lizards are bad. They don't come with any block. You can't afford rerolls. You literally can't afford rerolls if you want to also buy a Crocs. Oh, one of the things, buying things I should have mentioned right at the back of the start. Sorry if I'm not going to go back and re-record it. But Stunty is obviously the most expensive teams in Blood Bowl as well. You need to buy so much extra stuff. And a bunch of these teams need to buy extra stuff. Like Lizards, you kind of need to buy the Crocs, which is annoying because you can't actually afford all the Saurus in the box and the Crocs in a starting team unless you have no rerolls, or one reroll, I think, which will really screw you when you have no block. Chaos, you don't need to buy the big guy, but they have no block across the entire team. All they have is good stats. They will build into a good team, but if you're only playing 8 games maybe in a league, they won't get there. So they'll be bad the entire time. Humans will build into a better team, but now they've been nerfed. They start with what's in the box, which is 2 block. You can buy an Augur to get a big guy, but they have nice skill access. They will build into a decent team, but at the start, they're pretty bad. And the same with Dark Elves. Dark Elves don't have assassins in the box, which is actually a good thing for new players. You probably don't want them, but they do have 2 runners in the box, which is bad. They only start with 2 block now. The 2 Witch Elves, if you field them both, will get you into more trouble because of Frenzy and the fact that you have to protect them and you have to protect the runners. And if you buy them, you have to protect the assassins, which is way too much to protect. So all of these teams have bad starts. They may grow into something good if you want to play longer leagues, but you might not get there, right? You're like Lizards will lose all the skinks. They'll just die all the time. So don't play bad starts. So that's all the don't teams. What are the do teams? Let's start with Chorfs. The reason they're down at number 5 is you have to buy the bulls or use proxies, obviously. If you're using your friends' miniatures or whatever, just borrow 2 trolls or something, But you need to have the bulls in the team. So something has to represent the bulls. Also, there's a couple of players on there that you have to protect. And there's some slightly complicated rules like flamesmiths and things like that. But in general, Chorf's super solid team to start with. Good value, 14 guys in the box. You won't need anything else once you get them bulls or if you borrow some proxies for the large things. But this team, pretty solid. They come with 4 block in the center of the team. The bulls only need 1 skill to get block. The 2 flamesmiths start with brawler, so that covers them for not having block. You can afford 2 rerolls in a regular start, so they're really not bad at all to start with for new players. Necro, great team to start with. The only reason they're not higher is that they're a slightly complicated team, and they only start with 2 block, which is the Wraiths. But fun team to play. You don't need anything that's not in the box. 14 players. You'll never need anything that's not in the box. It's literally the best value box in Blood Bowl. And a bunch of different stuff to do. So it kind of keeps you interested. You have stand firm on the big strength 4 flashies. You have block on the Wraiths, who also have sidestep. You have the Wolves with Frenzy to learn how to use Frenzy. You have Ghouls with dodge that can become immediately blodge on 1 skill. Like, this is a good team from the start. It's not the best start, because obviously only 2 block, but it's a good start, and they don't need many skills to start rolling. They just need block on a ghoul, block on a wolf, guard on some fleshies, or, like something small, and they're good to go. Orcs. Orcs have always been the most popular team in Blood Bowl. If you look at stats from Blood Bowl 2, if you look at stats from Blood Bowl 3, played through the roof, Orcs. And in the new 3rd season, they're pretty good. They've been, I would say, nerfed, but not really nerfed. They've been changed from last season. You now have 2 less blitzers and 2 less big guns, which sounds bad. But the skills they got on the ones that remain are really good. And they will stay on the pitch. They're like armor 10 plus mostly across the board. They will stay on the pitch. You won't get removed. So perfect. And they're not as slow. Like, unlike the teams from one of the earliest slides, which were all bash teams, all just like banging things, this team will not get left behind. The blitzers, they're a little slow. They're slower than armor 6, movement 6, but not much. If you take both throwers that are in the box, you have 4 movement 6 players and the rest movement 5. So it's slightly lower than movement 6. Not as slow as the slow teams, and better bash wise. You will have to take note of the team captain skill, which is a little bit of a complicated annoyance. But also, the big guy that they use is a troll, which is the cheapest one to buy if you want to get one off eBay, because there was plastic ones in the box, in the second edition box set, or 2020 box set. So they're out there. And obviously it's also the big guy that most people have, so you could borrow one easily. Absolutely recommended. We always recommended them. We recommended them in Blood Bowl 2, Blood Bowl 3, because they've always been a solid team. But now they're one of the best teams in Blood Bowl as well. It's kind of weird that the best teams in Blood Bowl at the moment are the teams that we also recommend people to play. It's worked out quite nicely. Talking of which, Undead, here we are. Undead, again, you don't need anything outside the box. They don't have any big guys, so that's straight up. They got 14 in the box, which is good value. I do recommend just using the skeletons as zombies. Just don't use skeletons at all. Just tell your opponent they're all zombies. They do have the 2-block problem, but nothing really has more than that now. Dwarves, they have big strength on the mummies. One of the reasons they're not top is there is a speed disparity in the team. The mummies are really slow at movement 3, and then you have the ghouls at movement 7, and now the others are in between at movement 4, 5, and 6. Like, it's basically runs the gamut of speed. But really good team, and they're regen. So if you're playing a league, less likely to be battered so hard that your next game sucks. Which is also important for new players. New players looking to come back to a league and like have to play a team with like half their team dead. Really miserable experience. So the regen teams like Necro we just saw and Undead, pretty good for that. So highly recommended. And then I don't think number one's going to be a surprise. It's Old World Alliance, the best team in Blood Bowl. And I know that's lame telling new players to play the best team in Blood Bowl, but Old World Alliance are the new team. If they weren't the best team in Blood Bowl, they would still be the team with the nerf to humans that we would tell people to use to learn, because they've got everything. They've got 2 halves of the team. We've got the Bash half, and we've got it's not really the Elf half. We've got the hybrid half. The Bash half is all dwarves. So you get to learn just punching things. You will end up punching the things a lot. You get to take guard on a couple of players. You get to take mighty blow on players. So you get to punch things. You will want a big guy, but they took loner off the tree, so now the actual choice of tree or ogre is a perfectly reasonable choice. I prefer ogre, but if you like a tree, take a tree. It doesn't have loner anymore. The problem with the tree is you could take root immediately, ruin your game. So I prefer the ogre. And then the humans got buffed. The blitz is now good. Comes with tackle, 1 skill, mighty blow, job done. The catcher is no longer a liability. He's no longer strength 2. He's strength 3 now. So this team is not only the current best team in Blood Bowl, but it's a real good team to learn. And frankly, if you are the new player joining a league, no one should complain if you take the best team, right? Who the hell would complain about that? Like, obviously you want the advantage. You want some advantage. All of these top 5 teams are good teams. They're not just good for you to play, to learn. We used to recommend humans before, and they were a middling team. But we recommend them to people to learn because they had the variety of skills. They had, strength-based players and agility-based players and things like that. This is now that team, and it just happens to be the best team in Blood Bowl. Perfect, symmetry. So everyone should even encourage new players to play this team, because it will mitigate some of the fact that they're not very good, right? Anyone starting Blood Bowl is not going to be very good. Playing the best team in Blood Bowl that isn't that complicated, so it's easy to learn, has a bit of everything in there, has some bash, has an agility piece, has some faster pieces, some slower pieces, has everything you need to learn Blood Bowl, and will help you out in not just being obliterated constantly. So yeah, I hope that helps in making some people's decision. You don't have to listen and take the best teams, obviously. If everyone started playing Old World Alliance, it would suck, right? but people need to know. Like, it's so hard to tell new players, look, this is an unbalanced game. Like, this is a really unbalanced game. I get that you love how halflings look, but you know, come back to me in 6 weeks when you've lost 6 games in a row when you were pitch cleared 4 times. Tell me how much fun you had. Like, and if it's lords, then great, you made the right decision. But quite a lot of people will be like, yeah, that was miserable. That was a miserable experience. I lost every game. I didn't even get to play because in the second half I got to set up 2 trees and 4 flings. Like, that's just Blood Bowl. So, if even if you aren't one of these people, if someone is trying to join your league, help them out. Like, don't be afraid to tell them, look, these teams are just not good for new players. Like, these are teams that you move on to once you've learned the rules, once you're a little more comfortable on the pitch. Then, if you remember that you really liked halflings, then buy halflings and try them out. Totally fine, right? Nothing wrong with that. You want people to stay in the game, and it does really risk people just quitting completely if you just let them play goblins because they look fun. Look how wacky they look, and then they just lose every single game. They don't really get to play Blood Bowl because they're smashed off the pitch so often. Or like, someone who knows what they're doing just quick scores on them, and this guy hasn't brought any bribes, so all of his fun special weapons immediately leave the pitch, and you can just see people's face drop. Like, it's a miserable experience. Stop stop letting people go through that. It's not a rite of passage. We don't have to haze new Blood Bowl players. Help them out. Tell them to play something good until they've learned this, like, the basics. And talking of learning the basics, you can find me on Twitch at this, usually casting decent players. Let's go with that. Playing some kind of games, World Championships, Super Leagues, finals of competitions, things like that I just randomly cast and help people learn from the best, learn what to do and what not to do. And it's kind of what I do more. I don't even play that much anymore. I am going to play more when 3rd season comes to the video game. We'll talk about that in a future video. And if you do enjoy these videos on YouTube, please remember to do the YouTube things, which I keep forgetting what they are. It's sub, which is it's very complicated because Twitch is follow and then sub is give me money. Whereas on YouTube, sub is follow. It doesn't give me any money. So it's very complicated to ask for subs because I go out my way to not ask for subs. I don't like asking people for money sub on YouTube or go to Twitch and follow me. I'm going to get this right. And I will see you in the next video.